Welcome to Spiritual Happy Hour. I am Joeaux Robey, and this is Marilyn Harper, and we are so happy to have you here with us today, tonight, tomorrow, whatever day you're watching this video. And just let me tell you a little bit about what is Spiritual Happy Hour.
Well, today, for the first time ever, it's being broadcast on New Year's Day.
It's a new year.
Happy New Year.
Happy New Year. Woohoo.
Okay, now
We should have brought our hats and our blow things. And
We have them.
we're there. We have an audience out there.
Okay.
They're watching us. So what are we going to talk about today for the very first Spiritual Happy Hour of the year, which is a program that we do with Master Randy Luna, he'll be on, and Adironnda, that's loosely based on the principles of A Course in Miracles.
Very loosely based.
Miracles.
And today I just want to go back into the silence. Do you want to go back into the silence?
I want you to go back in the silence. I'm just kidding. I'm kidding.
I know you're not. No, she's not.
Yes, actually, I loved the silence.
Wasn't it amazing?
It always is. We've done many of them. We're doing them at least once, sometimes twice a year now, and I recommend everyone do it. Although Carl, the love of my life, was at home alone, and when I asked him how his days were while I was in the silent retreat, he said retreat. He said he had his own silent retreat, only it was free.
Oh, nice. Well, obviously, as you may or may not have realized, a few weeks ago, we were in a silent retreat. It was amazing. There were 9 of us that stayed really as silent as possible. I mean, being in a silent retreat is truly an adventure in discipline. It's about managing your frustrations. It's about managing your restlessness and feeling restfulness. It's about managing your peace and your silence and actually feeling for me, it was feeling a relief in not being in charge. I discovered a lot of things during that silent retreat. One, I discovered that we ate gluten-free and vegan food the entire time, 5 days, and it was delicious. We also focused on slowing down our movements and being mindful of each action. Like when we ate, we would pick the fork up, take a bite, bite of not of the fork, but take a bite, and then put the fork down and chew it until it turned into liquid, feeling all of the flavors and the aromas and the changes as the food turned into liquid in your mouth. Now think about how slowly that is. And it was noble silence, so we weren't really looking at the other 8 people in the room. I'm still amazed at how fast I move in comparison with how fast I moved during the silent retreat and became mindful of each small step and movement of my body. It really brought me to a place where I realized the silence was really my friend. Each morning before breakfast, after breakfast, following lunch, we had an hour, sometimes 2, of silence, pure silence. I mean, real stillness. We were not simply being quiet or not talking. I found in the stillness, I could actually feel the love that was in the room. It was physical, which brought me to another phrase from the silent retreat. What would love do? I mean, there's a gentleness in the silence that really wrapped us all in love. I wondered how I could maintain that feeling of love in all aspects of my life. In our free time, I began reminiscing about the first few silent retreats that I had done. I remember the first silent retreat. It was with a different facilitator than I did with this one. And the first time we were told to walk outside and be mindful of everything that we saw that we don't normally notice, and because we're not normally very mindful. As soon as I got out of eye shot or eye range, I opened up my phone and called somebody. And then I called somebody else, and then I called somebody else until I got back within eye range. And at night, underneath my blankets, I checked my texts and my emails and things like that. So I wasn't really very silent. I also remember thinking, if we're going to be silent for an hour, when is it going to be over? My mind raced on what I could be doing other than being silent and being still or being quiet for 4 days. The facilitator must have sensed my restlessness, for he told us to count our breaths up to 10 in and out and then go backwards, like 1, 2, etc., etc. That gave my mind something to focus on, and I eventually made it into the silence. I mean, we were out of town, so I didn't really know half the people that were there. However, they all seemed to know me, and that I was a channel for Adironnda and the Council of Light, because people kept passing me notes, asking me if I could do a private session for them when the silent retreat was over. I mean, I was not the only one that had a difficult time with the silence. And then, of course, my mind continued to wander. I thought, I could do a silent retreat. How hard could it be? To just lead a silent retreat? I could do that. Oh my, yes. Then Joy and I actually turned one of our Crestone retreats into a silent retreat. What were we thinking? Silence isn't just not talking. It's an entirely new way of experiencing life. Anyway, we tried it because we always do things like that without necessarily being prepared for them. Regardless of how much we knew about the silence, we did it. Bless our attendees' hearts. First off, Crestone, Colorado is a destination within itself. I mean, there's 28 spiritual centers. There's a Zen center, a Hindu center, a Baptist center, a Episcopal center, a Carmelite monastery, lots more. So they all required a bit of explanation as to the protocol, or what you do in a Hindu center, or do you take your shoes off or leave them on, or do you walk up to the stupa, and what in the world is a stupa anyway? Or do you drive? And then we had cooking. Now, we did not prepare to be cooking in the silence, and we realized as we were cooking that we needed to give instructions. So there was a lot of whispering going on. We had 2 cars, my car and Joy's car. Had about, 8 or 9 people divided over both the cars, and they got to pick their car, and they were told to try to ride in a different car each day. On the second or third day, I realized that no one was really standing by my car wanting to ride with me. Well, my ego then had a heyday. Oh, I'm no good. I'm not enough. I'm not a good leader. And then that night, when I realized it, I finally asked the group what the status was. Why were they all wanting to ride with Joy? And one of our participants very timidly said, well, Joy lets us talk. So we did try it again next time, a nearly silent retreat. That didn't work either. We truly didn't understand the silence, nor how to facilitate it. So back to the drawing board. I had another silent retreat. I went to another silent retreat by the same facilitator. I was determined to learn about meditation. I was determined to understand what the silence and truly being still could do for me. Well, in the beginning, the facilitator said, And they probably said that the first time, but I didn't pay any attention. But this time I did. They said to set an intention and then see what develops around that intention. That was 2010. And when going into the silence, I asked the question when I should leave my day job and go out on my own, being totally spirit employed, as I was really working 2 full-time jobs, one at Branson Towers Hotel in group sales, and one being a channel and doing private sessions and events every weekend. Well, in my silence, in the stillness, I clearly heard, now is the time. Trust your knowingness. All will be taken care of. Of course, I did that before. And when my ego said, oh, trust in the silence. Spirit will take care of you. We'll take care of everything. When I quit my job the first time in 2000. And I had loads of fun, went through my entire life savings, and then went back to work at a different job. I didn't want that to happen again. So this time, I asked for a very clear, logical sign that my logical brain could understand when I was actually to give my notice at my present day job, selling group hotel rooms for buses that came to Branson. Well, I didn't get a sign while I was in the retreat. I was still in silence. But when I got back to the hotel, Branson Towers Hotel, that first morning, I wasn't there more than 30 minutes when I was still thinking about, am I supposed to give my notice? Am I not supposed to? Am I supposed to? Am I not supposed to? I need a sign, right? And the manager called me in to her office and said, well, the hotel has sold. So you won't be able to take a 2-week vacation anymore, which nixed doing a Crestone retreat. And you won't be able to leave early on Friday nights when you've got a class or someplace out of town. And you won't be able to come back a little late on Monday mornings when you can't get back in time for an 8 o'clock call. And you can't use the meeting room any longer for free. You'll have to rent it just like everyone else if you want to teach your classes there. And, as a matter of fact, the new owners recommend that I not teach any classes or do anything outside of my present job. And if that wasn't enough, they asked me if I would sign a no-compete agreement or non-conflict agreement or something that told them that this was my primary source of income. Well, it was my primary source of income. However, I wasn't willing to agree to that. So that was a pretty big sign. I gave my notice effective at the end of the month, and I didn't look back. And Joy and I took our first tour 5 weeks later. I did some research on meditation and found out what can happen when you really meditate and the benefits for the human body. So, of course, then I developed a course, 21 Days to an Awesome Life. It was really as much for me as it was for anyone else. And in this 21-day meditation program, we actually increased the silence by 1 minute every day. It was really beautiful. It worked for me, and hopefully it worked for everyone who took part in it. And it's available in our store now if you're interested. It was a beautiful program. Now I have done several other silent retreats. I have a new respect for the facilitators. My favorite facilitator is Catherine Gundling. She is love enough. She is love walking around in a human body. In fact, if you would like to schedule her for a silent retreat, she has given me permission to share her email, which is silentretreatministry@gmail.com. It will take you to new heights. Trust me. Well, all this to say that even when we are frustrated, even when we are questioning everything, even when our anger is really getting the best of us, even when the trauma in our life that we create is seemingly coming at us from every direction, we still need to stop. Yes. Stop the drama, stop the chaos, stop the frustration, and take it all into the silence. Take it all into prayer. And simply turn it over to God. That thought, turn it over to God, actually made me laugh, chuckle a little bit, because it was my experience that most spiritual people in the spiritual world have a little trouble with the word God. Isn't that silly? But who am I to judge? Because in the silence, the word God, for many people, had so many connotations to it. You know, people that were recovering Catholics or recovering Christians or recovering fundamentalists or recovering Hindus or recovering Buddhists or whatever. Anyway, at the silent retreat, Catherine suggested that we replace the word God with love. What would love do in any situation? Well, that made a lot of sense to me. I mean, after all, we say that God is love, right? It seems also a little bit intimidating to ask what God would do in some frustrating little situation that I've created. It was a little easier for me to ask, what would Jesus do? Interesting, isn't it? But really, what would love do was perfect for me, very reasonable. So if you ask the question, what would love do? How does love answer that question? I mean, you might get the opportunity to be still enough to hear what love would do in any situation. The dictionary actually defines love as a feeling. It's very vague. I define love as a frequency, a vibration, sort of, if you will. In the book, Power versus Force, love is surprisingly not the highest frequency. Enlightenment is. And yet, you cannot be enlightened without love. In A Course in Miracles, it says, love is an extension. To withhold the smallest gift is not to know love's purpose. Love offers everything, forever. Sounds like God to me, right? If you don't feel that you are good as God, then are you as good as love? Is there a difference? God is love, right? Love is God, right? You are love, right? Then you are God, right? So, it is no accident that this spiritual happy hour is being broadcast today, January 1. Happy New Year. What you do today sets the focus for the coming year. And you know, if you listen to this some other day besides January the 1st, what you do that day can set the focus for the coming year. What would be the difference in this year if you actually incorporated a period of silence, stillness, meditation in every day? And when things seem to come up that shift you out of that frequency of the stillness, that peace, you stop. You breathe. You pause and ask, what would love do? And then get still enough to hear the answer from love. What would love do? let's take that into the stillness now as we just feel into the divine music of the Master Randy Luna. And then Adironnda has a message, of course. And I believe they're going to have an activation for this year or any year that you listen to this message. We'll see you on the other side, huh? So it is good day to you, huh? And yes, Happy New Year to you, and you, and you, and you, and all of you energies out there. We see you, we know you, we feel you. And know that some of you may not be feeling quite as good as you were yesterday, earlier in the day, but some of you may be feeling better. For this is a huge time of year. This is the beginning of a new cycle, as you know. This is the energy of creation, as you know. It is a 7-year. 2 + 2 + 3 = 7, which is the most spiritual of all the numbers. So we are going to activate that love frequency within you. And it is our intention that you will feel that frequency building. And we actually have an extra special treat for you. The Divine Master, Randy Luna, will be playing along. And to know that each note carries an encodement for you. So take a deep breath. And again, take another deep breath. And 1/3 time, breathe in. And breathe out. We will place our vessel Marilyn's hands on your heart. So just give a slight nod when you have the sense that we are there. We ask you to breathe into our vessel Marilyn's hands through your heart, in and out. And feel that essence of that vibration just for you. That energy that you feel, that little bit of warmth or tingling, is love. And that love is your God self, your source of all that you are. We ask you to breathe into that source with your intention. I am a part of the source of all that is. Just repeat that phrase in your mind. I am a part of the source of all that is. I am that wisdom. I am a greater understanding for humanity that is around me. I am love. Love is God. Good, orderly direction. And that direction of love is being activated in the cells of your field and your body right now. Energy of love is the core of who you are. As you look into the vision of this year, this essence, even if you listen to this in years to come, it is that essence of love. It is that truth of you. With the wisdom to understand, with the compassion to be benevolent, even in the face of adversity. The benevolence is still there within you. Breathe into that. Breathe into you. Breathe into your heart and allow that love to permeate every cell of your body in this moment. And always. Feel the gratitude for you as we do. allow that gratitude to wash through you as love does. Filling you up, expanding your essence for all time. And so it is, dearest beings of light. You are here for the reason of love. To live it, to expand it, to relate it, and to be it. Namaste. Namaste. Namaste.